Did I enjoy my MSW experience or is it all a front? Stay tuned. Hey you all, I hope your day is going well. It's Don and today's video is going to be all about my MSW experience. So I am making this video because December 11th marked 5 years since I obtained my Master of Social Work. So I have 5 years of post MSW experience. I've been out of school for over 5 years now, and so I thought that it would be a fun little video to create as you all continue to navigate the application process or even contemplate applying, or if you are an MSW alum, maybe this is starting a little trend and maybe you become inspired to share your experience with your community. If you do that, please be sure to tag me in it, whether it's in the description box or in the comment section. I'd love to share it on all of my platforms. Before we get started, I do want to request that everyone who's watching this video subscribe, because I looked at my analytics and it definitely shows that I have ghost followers. 70% of you all who watch my videos are not subscribed. What are you doing? What does it take for you to click that red subscribe button? Let's have a conversation if you have apprehensions about subscribing, but I definitely want you to join this community. You want to be part of the community because of that 70%, over 50% watch more videos. So definitely subscribe and turn on your notification bell so you can be notified of future videos. So the way I'm going to divide this video is I'm going to first discuss coursework, then I'll discuss my practicums and internships, and then I'll discuss my fellowship. I'll also discuss my relationship with faculty and staff members as well as classmates. I will also be sharing my grades. So let's discuss my classes. So I began in June 2015 and I enrolled in 2 courses. The first course was a human development course, and the second one was the social work generalist practice course. So these 2 courses are required for individuals who do not have a master's or a bachelor's of social work. It's interesting because I felt as though the human development course I took in undergrad, because I took lifespan development, and I definitely felt as though those were a lot of themes, but I can say that human development definitely dives deeper into the social context and the social issues that transpires during each developmental stage. So for the human development course, I received an A-, and I was so upset about that A- because I wanted, I take that back. That was not the class I got an A- in. I got an A in that class. The class I got an A- in was social work generalist practice. I was so upset about that because I went to my program saying I want to graduate with a 4.0, and by the end of the summer that was like not possible because I'd received an A-. So that's one thing to look out for, whether or not programs are on a plus minus system. So my program was definitely on a plus minus system. So that definitely made things a little bit more competitive. I think anything under a 95 was an A-, and then so forth and so forth. And the social work generalist practice, I definitely learned more about working with different populations. I really feel as though the big thing that stands out for me in that class was this DAT project, which stood for diversity, acceptance, and tolerance. And we had to write about a group that differed from our own, and why diversity or why acceptance or tolerance was important for that group. So that was a class I really grew from, and I really particularly enjoyed that faculty member. If Mary Bragg is watching this, I love you. You're awesome. That was my professor for this course, and she was great. So in the fall, I took a lot more courses. I enrolled in 5 classes. So in the fall, I enrolled in social welfare policy and services, social work with individuals and families, advanced clinical assessments and interviewing, mental disorders, and research methods. I'm happy to report that in all of these classes, I received A's. I wanted to also mention the schedule so even for the summer and the fall, classes were once a week, and we met for about 3 hours each class. So I think that was a really decent amount of time. I think we met for 3 hours because usually classes were like 9 to noon, and then so forth and so forth. Of all of these classes, I definitely have something to say about all of them in terms of social welfare policy and services. I really learned the acts that influence how social workers are able to practice, and that's really important to know if you are interested in macro social work, because you can know what the legislative flaws are, and you can gain a sense of how you'd like to rectify those flaws. For social work with individuals and families, I particularly liked that there was a project that had us identify what treatment modality would be best for us, and I really did enjoy that. For advanced interviewing and clinical assessment, I definitely enjoyed this course because we did a lot of role playing, and with this class, you really dove deep into some of those clinical issues that clinicians shy away from. Mental disorders, I really enjoyed this class, and this professor actually wrote a letter of recommendation for me to doctoral program, so I'm very grateful to her. So Dr. Teresa Ostler, thank you for being a wonderful person. So she actually is a clinical psychologist by training. So yep, clinical psychologist, but she is amazing and she is very smart. It, after completing her class, I definitely considered going to school for clinical psychology because she's definitely distinguished in her pedagogical approaches, but also her clinical knowledge and expertise. Like, it's clear that she knew more than like many other professors in our department, and it's not to say that it's all due to her degree, but I will say that it made me interested in clinical psychology. So definitely pay attention to your professors and your faculty members because they can have a lot of influence on your path as well. And research methods was with Dr. Menzon. She was awesome. She made research so comprehensible. I think I actually used her paper for my writing sample 2 doctoral programs. While I did well on that paper, it wasn't the best fit because what I was applying to research was not discussed in that writing sample. And I think that was probably a mistake on my end, but I did want to at least give her credit. She is phenomenal, so kind, so meek, and I'm pretty sure she's like over academic programs or something like that. She has like a really significant title, there. So I really liked her a lot. I also really enjoyed my professor from Social Welfare and Policy and Services, Dr. Dr. Bekteshi. Absolutely loved her, and she was so supportive. I really appreciated her. So I'm very grateful for her. So in the spring, I enrolled in Delivery of Healthcare, Clinical Research Seminar, Integrated Behavioral Healthcare, Social Work and Law, Expert, and Motivational Interviewing. I also completed an independent study this semester in cancer epidemiology. This semester, I earned 3 Bs, 1 B+, and 1 B, and a pass. This semester, I actually almost failed a course. So if you are interested in that, maybe being like a story time, then let me know and I'm more than happy to do a video. I probably would do one anyway, but I'm trying to have you all engage in the comment section. So let me know your thoughts on if you want to know that video, if you want to know which class it was and how I almost failed and what I did to save myself. I don't really have too much to say about these classes. I definitely feel as though healthcare policy was really good because we learned more about Medicaid and Medicare. I feel as though now that I'm in medical social work, we definitely could have dove deeper, but I know that my research project for that class, we had to create a poster for that class, and my poster was on chemotherapy and amongst Medicare patients. So chemotherapy among Medicare patients. So I really enjoyed making that project. That's something that I still have as part of my portfolio. And that's what I mean by, okay, what are things that you can show competency in? So when I transitioned, I don't think that I had that, but people viewed my LinkedIn, so they were able to see that project on there. So that was definitely part of my portfolio. And so they were able to say, okay, he understands, he has some knowledge in insurance. So I definitely think that my professor did a good job there. Her name was Dr. Karen Tabdina. She's actually the only Black professor that I had. She's technically biracial, and I'm learning more and more that multiracial individuals want to be identified as that. So I won't solely address her as like the only Black professor that I had, but she definitely is, to my knowledge, the only multiracial professor that I had. And I believe she is both Black and white. And she talks about her own narrative and about her own experience of navigating the healthcare system as a Black woman and or as a biracial woman, and discussing the differences between her and her brother, because I think maybe her brother is passable, and passable just means like he could pass as white, and I'm not sure if her sister can too or not, but like noticing some of those differences. And I thought that was really interesting. I think that race does definitely play a role in healthcare outcomes, and that's actually an article that I am finalizing to have published in the Harvard Primary Care Review. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. The expert in motivational interviewing class was definitely really useful. That was part of the expert scholars program that I was part of during my time at Illinois. What I loved about that program, although they didn't implement the internship component at my field placement, which I think was a shortcoming on their parts because I was at a cancer center, and there's definitely crossover and relevance, particularly among patients with smoking cessation and them needing to discontinue smoking to receive treatment. You have individuals who will literally contemplate or refuse treatment because of their dependency on smoking and nicotine. So that was a missed opportunity on their end. I did it, so like it's a credential that I lead with on my applications, and it's something that I use today as I assess level of motivation, try to increase level of motivation, and then make that referral to treatment, and knowing about different sensation programs or AA programs or NA programs, whatever the case may be, but also recognizing that addictions are not merely limited to substance, but that it can also be to certain activities, certain types of food groups. So, I mean, the list goes on, and I think it's nice to have that broad take on helping individuals navigating dependency and or abuse. Discuss a little bit about my faculty members. I had good faculty members, but I feel as though I mean there were definitely some that were problematic, but that's another video for another time. But overall I really did enjoy my faculty members that I had, as well as faculty members that I didn't have, but were just kind and shared about their discipline. I really enjoyed that. I was a good multitasker during grad school. I definitely was someone who did not complete homework at home like I did it at school, or I did it during breaks, or I did it during lunch and learns, things of that sort. So that was me. I'd even do homework like on my bus ride home because I would, if I didn't bike to work or to school, I would take the bus, which was free with our student ID. In terms of being social in grad school, I was definitely social in grad school, if you can't tell by the smile on my face. I'm a social person. I don't know if you all have gathered that or not by now, which is interesting because I used to not be social, but now, like as an adult, I was very social, and still am very social. So make friends, join student organizations within your department, outside of your department. I was in Alpha Delta Mu, National Social Work Honor Society, and I loved it. Like it was such a fun time. And get to know your classmates and professors because these are your future colleagues, and you never know when or how your paths may cross again. So moving on to discussing my practicums. So my practicums is something that I actually sought out on my own because my program did not have practicums. We just did our coursework, and then we did our field placement, which was full time. So for me, it was really important to have that extra experience. I was that student that was like, hey, actually, I have more than just this. Like, I did this and I did that. So in the summer 2015, I completed a research practicum at a local cancer center with a oncology social worker, and we completed a needs assessment. In the fall, I completed a volunteer practicum with a bereavement coordinator who is so kind, so generous, so gentle. She coordinated the bereavement program, and so we facilitated the life after loss support group. I mostly assisted her, although I did have some opportunities to co-facilitate. But it was a wonderful learning opportunity, and I really fell in love with hospice and palliative care. And I definitely considered them all to be like one and the same. Like I don't like separate the two, which some people would say that's not good because not all individuals with cancer will die, but I still believe that there's a lot of skill set that you learn in hospice that I think is relevant, especially working with cancer patients. While that cancer patient may not die, they are navigating grief. And I think that the hospice piece really helps with supporting individuals navigate grief. So, needless to say, fall 2015, that was an amazing opportunity, which I loved. Spring 2016, I completed a an independent study in the Department of Epidemiology in our School of Public Health. So this is that cross-disciplinary work that I was telling you all about. And I really enjoyed that project. It was a literature review, and I really enjoyed working with that faculty member. And that faculty member actually taught me just through their own lived experience about working with individuals with varying abilities. And so that was something that was really eye-opening for me, and something that I really hold and cherish till this day. Again, I think it's important that any and everyone that you meet, it's important for you to treat as though are someone, because I forgot to mention, but during my during my summer 2015 internship or practicum, that oncology social worker actually taught my course in the fall. And that definitely could have gone multiple ways, like if that wasn't a good experience. So you just never know how again your paths will cross, because I enrolled in that class after completing that practicum, and the faculty was to be determined. So it said TBD. And I was like, okay, well, I don't care. Like, I wasn't the student that looked up faculty members online and was like, rate my professor. Let me know if you use rate my professor too, if you're even watching this video still. And so to conclude, I'd like to discuss my internship. So my internship began in the summer of 2016 and end in the fall of 2016. It was 2 semesters, summer and fall, and I was at a cancer center for 5 days a week, full time from 8 to 5 with an hour lunch break. This was an interesting internship. I won't go into too much detail, but what I will share is that I really learned the importance of being able to read the stress screenings and prepping and gathering necessary material to kind of predict and prepare for the needs of the individual, and then gathering resources based on what they shared and adding to that. Also being able to do supportive counseling was important in that role. So that was something that I cherish and something that I really enjoy. that cancer center had a number of support groups that were offered, so I shadowed those. I did not facilitate any support groups during my time there, but I did shadow on quite a few, including in the Look Good, Feel Good program. Jeez, I'm like, can I work through that? And that was a really good program. And so beauty specialists would come out for that and, help women feel beautified. Looking back, I was thinking like, oh, there could have been like a men's thing too, but honestly, a lot of the guys just are like in and out. They're like, hey, give me my news, give me my updates, and get me out of here. And so, not to overgeneralize, it's just sometimes like you just have to know your environment, you have to know your population, and just kind of meet them where they are. It wasn't uncommon for me to be like, hey, here's a soft introduction on services. If you are interested later on, hit me up. And sometimes they would, and sometimes they wouldn't, and that's okay. Well, the last thing that I forgot to mention was my fellowship. So the fellowship that I'll mention there, so I completed two. I completed one with Stanford Medicine, and I completed one with as a Hill Scholar. I'll only discuss the one as a Hill Scholar since that was through my institution. The Hill Scholars program stood for Healthcare Education Leadership Scholar, and there was we had a journal club, which I thought was cool. We had a project that kind of served as like a capstone project, if you will, for grad school. And mine was on the conversation project, which helped individuals learn about their loved ones' wishes at the end of life, which I'm really passionate about. So like I'm really passionate about that and like advanced directives and things. So that was cool, and I presented that at the School of Social Work to faculty, students, and staff. And then there was an advocacy component where I got to travel to Washington, D.C., and advocate to preserve the best components of the ACA. And this was in the spring of 2016, so I really enjoyed it. It also came with a $5,500 scholarship, which I used to pay for my last semester of grad school. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you to the National Association of Social Workers, NASW Foundation, as well as the Council on Social Work Education, CSWE. That's the end of this video, you all. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment in the comment section below if, one, you want to learn more about the class I almost failed, and two, is let me know if you used Rate My Professor in college to select what classes you took. Thanks so much for watching, and until I see you next time, be you, be great.